Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hard Targets, open source intel by the people, for the people, bringing you news from a multipolar world. This is Teray. I know I'm having another late night stream. I'm going to have to find some way to do this a little earlier for y'all because, people who want to catch this live stream a little after, after we're all wrapped up here. While we're just getting started, I gotta be kind to new viewers. I gotta be kind. But since we're here, let me make sure to share this live in the chat. I might go live to Twitter one of these days just to change it up. Let me put up again. Make sure to post this to Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at IronsOnUSA. That's my personal account. Everything else is the same as the YouTube at Hard Target Intel, on Telegram, on TikTok, obviously here on YouTube. Going live about Georgia state of emergency. Let's get some people on Twitter in here. We back? I need someone in the comments to tell me if we back. Yeah, I really wanted to talk about something other than Antifa. I really did. I've been making a whole bunch of shorts on YouTube, on my TikTok, getting thousands of people in the views, trying to warn all y'all about what's going down in Atlanta with Cop City and with Antifa calling for riots again. This is I feel like I'm in 2020 again. I really feel like time has just gone in a complete circle. So for those of y'all who at this point haven't heard about Cop City, which has been flying under the radar for this past year, but now all of a sudden is getting talked about all over liberal media, CNN, MSNBC. You got the Daily Show talking about it now. It's popping up on social media. A year and change ago, the city of Atlanta greenlit a project for $90 million, $60 million in funding from local billionaire corporations like Coca-Cola and Wells Fargo, and $30 million taxpayer money to construct an 85-acre training facility, a mock city to train and militarize the national police force. Not the APD, not the Atlanta Police Department. This would be a facility for cops from all over the country to fly in and start training in urban warfare, even partnering with the Israeli Defense Force, because of course Joe Biden is partnering with the Israeli Defense Force to militarize the police. Again, just like 2020, just like it came out in 2020. This is not... I'm not sure how many more years I'm going to have to be like having the same conversations, telling y'all. Yeah, it was like that. Yep, the United States government is centralizing military authority. They've been defunded. That's what defund the police has been. Defunding local police departments so that we can turn the USA, every city in the USA, into just one big Israel. We can turn inner cities into Gaza so that we can replace police mafias with a federal permanent police state. But here we are again having to have this conversation. So yeah, that's happening in Georgia. Cop City has been occupied by Antifa since November 2021. So over a year now that they've been hiding out in the woods, and there's 85 acres of woods, burning vehicles, terrorizing locals, making threats, and now shooting at cops. Where that one NGO brat, what was his name, Manuel Tehran, who allegedly shot at a police officer. Maybe he didn't. Maybe the police shot themselves and then blamed him. That sounds likely. I wouldn't put it past the Atlanta Police Department for doing that. But it doesn't matter, considering that Antifa is working with the federal government to defund the police, increase crime, and have the National Guard swoop in to turn cities like Atlanta into Gaza. Just like I've been told y'all. Just like we saw happen in Chaz 2 years ago, when the federal government was telling the local Seattle Police Department not to engage with Chaz, not to go in and evict Antifa, just let them stay there for weeks and weeks. And then 3 black people were shot. 2 of them died. And then the Seattle Police Department had to go against the authority of their superiors to go in there and do a sweep to get Antifa the hell out of there. Antifa, who got keys to federal buildings from local officials, from members of the city council, Kashama Sawant, some socialist alternative Fed. All these leftists are Feds. I don't want to keep repeating this to y'all. They all are working. They might not be good at organizing. They might not be united. They might not be they might not have the attention span or the IQ to sit down in a Zoom meeting, but they're organized. You don't sit in the woods of Atlanta without any money to buy yourself food, water, propane for a gas stove, because without electricity, having no means to cook your food, you're going to need a supply source of all of these things, camping equipment, not to mention the firearms and explosives that they've got. All of these jobless leftists who left their cushy, their cushy sales jobs, or quit working for CNN, or whose parents are actually millionaires. They're not getting this equipment and this funding from nowhere. They're these events happening in different cities across America are not happening randomly. Where in Memphis, just today, the police chief is telling the city of Memphis not to act violently once he releases the police footage of Tyree Nichols being murdered by 5 black pigs a couple of weeks ago. This is why Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia, has declared a state of emergency and deployed 1,000 National Guard troops into the city of Atlanta, anticipating more riots to happen. Because Antifa has now been calling on cities all across America to be killing cops, to be burning more stuff. In Portland, Antifa in Portland saying that they're going to be retaliating. There's been, in Boston, there was that son of a congresswoman, a high-profile member of Congress, assaulted a police officer and graffitied "Stop Cop City" in Boston. This is a coordinated effort by leftists, liberals, by the federal government, all under under the same Joe Biden strategy in 2020 to say that, oh yeah, I really hear you, progressive movement. I really do. Oh, I really do care about black people. And then defunding the police, seeing an increase in crime, an increase in riots, an increase in poverty, and then cracking down with National Guard troops. This is the same thing. So I don't know what's going to happen on Friday or over the weekend, because I knew that in 2023, I knew there was going to be some sort of orchestration. We all knew that, once once the Democrats have a split government, in between Republicans holding, the House of Representatives and Democrats holding every other office in the federal government, that Biden is going to need some sort of crisis to consolidate power, to distract the general public and consolidate power through military authority and through silencing uh, dissension on social media, getting people riled up, getting young folks riled up to go flying like into these different cities where shit's popping off, to help Antifa burn stuff, to occupy more land, to go to Memphis and and really show your support for the city of Memphis, to get justice for Tyree Nichols by burning more car lots, by burning more black businesses. So it's really time that if you really want to stop Cop City, if you really want police mafias to be broken up so they can't keep killing us without consequences, then ask yourself, what are you really doing in the long term that isn't a part of the Democratic Party's plan to defund the police and increase crime in the community? What are you doing? Are you defending your community? Are you going out and getting people trained in self-defense? Are you going out and clearing these open-air drug markets in San Francisco and Atlanta and making sure that that drug dealers aren't poisoning community members, not to mention bringing in gang violence? Are you sitting down with your neighbors and saying, what can we do to reduce police presence in schools? Are you sitting down? Are you joining an organization? Any organization? That, like, just learning the skills to actually sit down and talk with your community about what they want and how to push those agendas forward, so that you're not going out into the street yet again to get steamrolled by the National Guard and to burn down more black businesses, to let Antifa occupy another city for 3 weeks again while they terrorize black communities. I don't want that. You shouldn't want that. As someone who was in New England at the time, years ago, during the George Floyd rebellions, and like, the only reason, like, me and my organization was going into these protests was to tell people, hey, here, get, like, join us for our meetings where we're distributing personal protective equipment for this pandemic, get some self-defense training, do some fundraising to feed the homeless, and let's do something about lowering crime and poverty in our communities. And, oh, by the way, you shouldn't stick around in this protest, because as soon as the sun goes down, you're going to get your ass beat by the National Guard, and then nothing's going to change. So really ask yourself, what are you doing so that we're not having a repeat of 2020? Ask yourself what the Democratic Party wants when it's orchestrating all of these events to happen at the same time. Orchestrating Antifa to be occupying the forest of Atlanta and then shooting at police officers and starting riots, and then getting Antifa in other cities to be assaulting police officers and calling for retaliation, violent retaliation. And then now in Memphis, Joe Biden getting on the news to say that things are going to be different this time. Things are going to be different this time. Oh, by the way, we're sending in the National Guard to Atlanta. We're sending in the National Guard again because they wouldn't keep doing these tired ass strategies if it didn't keep working. If y'all weren't so insistent about acting as individuals, about thinking that protesting, going out into the streets, and yelling into a megaphone is the same thing as organizing your community to get them the resources that they need to be the leadership that your community needs. So that maybe if you didn't want Cop City, the people in your community would have somewhere to turn to. They would have an organization who would tell them what self-defense is and get them the equipment that they need to feel safe, to be a part of a school board, to get police officers out of the schools and find like volunteers who are willing to actually defend the kids. The Black Hammer organization has been doing that in Atlanta, defending the city of Atlanta. The Proud Boys been doing that, defending kids from groomers and these drag queen story hours, defending Antifa. You might not like either of those organizations, but at least they're actually defending people when stuff starts catching fire. You might not like those organizations, but ask yourself, what have you done to make a difference, to actually make people in your community feel safe? Rather than relying on white kids from all over the country flying into your city and saying that they really care about you when they're like threatening locals and shooting at kids. I'm so tired of having to replay this same psyop from the Democratic Party over and over and over again. I'm sick of it. I want to talk about something else for a change. I want to be able to go and have a live stream about, I don't know, celebrity gossip about what are people even talking about? Meghan Markle, and how the royal family and how we're cringing at the royal family. I don't know what celebrity gossip is going on right now because I'm too busy looking at the same playbook from 2020 happened 6 months early. Hats off to Joe Biden and the federal government for starting, the summer riots in the middle of winter. Because it works. I do apologize for not, showing some of the headlines here to give some of y'all more in-depth detail. My Wi-Fi apparently stops working, late into the night. But yeah, I'm sure some of y'all are, probably already saw the hashtags on Twitter or saw news clips on YouTube or TikTok or wherever y'all are. Tyree Nichols. I hadn't even heard the name Tyree Nichols until I sat down tonight after dinner, made myself some tea, sat down, opened my laptop. At 7:00, I see the name Tyree Nichols in the news, as now this is starting to pop up. Not by accident. Not by accident. I'd rather be talking about anything else. We're gearing up. The United States government is gearing up for World War III. But we're having the same conversations we had 2 years ago. The same conversations we had 8 years ago when Michael Brown was murdered in Ferguson. Same playbook. Even the same people The same lawyer that was defending Mike Brown's family, trying to get trying to get justice for Mike Brown's family, Ben Crump, some crooked ass lawyer Ben Crump who tells verbatim to the victims of police murders, who tells their families, we're not going to be able to get you any justice. That's not how this system works. What we can do is get you a big ass check from the city government. Because if you continue to, if you want to fight this and actually try and fight this in the courts, you're not going to see any justice. So we're just going to get you a big check from the city government. Ben Crump. That's who that is. Look him up. These are the same people. These are the same people that just swoop in as soon as as soon as they smell media attention, as soon as they smell a paycheck. These vultures like Ben Crump come swooping in off of the backs of traumatized families like Tyree Nichols' parents who had to watch the police footage of this 29-year-old man getting beaten to death by police mafias in Memphis and said, ooh, that looks like, I guarantee you, he said to himself, that looks like a good paycheck. That looks like a good paycheck. They can't even find different lawyers. It's always the same people. It's always the same story. So when are we actually going to have a different response in our communities? I was out there with my organization, getting people out, getting people organized, getting people ready to actually feed and clothe and defend their communities so that they didn't feel the need to go out and burn stuff and go out and riot. Other people are like organizations doing the same thing. Like what this really needs in order to change is going out, being the leader that your community needs and saying, no, we don't want you to come to our cities to protest. No, we don't want to have the same marches, saying the same slogans, getting speeches from the same people. We're actually going to go and have meetings at local school boards or get our neighbors together, meet at the frickin' library and have an agenda of what we want to get done as a community and enforce it with a militia if we have to. Yeah, it's gonna take. Yeah, it's gonna take work. Yeah, it means we're not gonna be able to go, and watch Netflix or whatever show is going on that's that they're trying to say is worth your time. Yeah, it's gonna take dedication, years of dedication, of unpaid labor. Yeah, you're not gonna get famous doing it. Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. But it's gonna get stuff done. It's gonna get stuff done. It means we can actually move on from the past decade. Like I'm 30. I'm 30 years old. And this is the same cycle that's been going on since 2012 when Trayvon Martin was murdered. A decade I've been doing this. A decade. My entire generation, like millennials, our entire generation, our minds have been fried by Antifa and Black Lives Matter, these psyops that say that you as an individual, you as a special individual can make a difference by going out and protesting and saying the right slogans and going online and starting a petition. All this online activism, that's going to make the difference. My generation is useless, useless, useless. We have been burnt out. We have been made into like this mush pile of opinions online rather than a dedicated force in the cities we live in the towns we live in our neighborhoods, to be able to like actually affect change through a collective effort, through organized effort. Millennials don't have any of that. Millennials don't have any of that. And now we're trying to rehash the same bogus propaganda into Zoomers, trying to make this the youngest generation who actually has the most, potential to like push back, against the way things have been going for the past 20 years. Zoomers who have this remarkable like strain of conservatism in them, of conservatives like, oh no, we're not going to do what the leftists say just because, some online personality told me to go and protest and, and dye my hair and join Antifa and join an anarchist collective where I get to worry about myself, my individual feelings. No, this like Zoomers don't have that, but we're trying to push it onto them, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop. Do whatever it is that that you want to organize. Be it like, as much as I personally make fun of book clubs, go get 10 people in a room and start a book club and talk about what you can do to make a difference in your community. An organized effort or a weekly meeting of things you can do, like a community cleanup. It's like it costs $5 to get some trash bags and some pincers to be able to like just pick up trash with your friends one day a week and talk with your neighbors and get to know them and get to know your community. Get to know the people who run the bodegas in your neighborhood. Get to know the people who run the restaurants and the department stores and the auto shops. The people who mow your lawn, the people who have nothing going on for them because we're so atomized, we're so individualized. Start anything. Get off the internet and meet people who live right next to you so that we can get out of this. I'm so sick of having this conversation. I'm so sick of watching people my age and older just think that this time, not even, you know what it is. You know what it is? People my age and older aren't even having opinions anymore just because they know it's not going to make a difference. They just want to get clout. This time they'll be able to get clout. That's what this whole cycle is. Getting internet clout off of the pain of families whose children were murdered. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We got to be the ones to say, no, I'm not going to let some suburbanites define my priorities. Man, I was going to talk about Morocco today. I was going to talk about Morocco like in microchips today. I had all these articles put together, just like, oh, Morocco is becoming a new place for the U.S. to invest in semiconductors. So World War III in Taiwan isn't such a disaster. Oh, like wouldn't that be interesting to talk about? Wouldn't it be interesting to talk about anything else? I think so. I didn't start up this channel so I could talk about more people getting murdered by the police, and then the same cycle of protests happens because nobody wants to stand up and actually defend their communities. They're going to keep relying on the National Guard to protect them from Antifa. When I've squared up against Antifa, they're not intimidating. They're scrawny, queer kids from the suburbs who think that who think that having a mask on makes them scary. Y'all, if y'all just got a few of your neighbors together and squared up at a location where Antifa said they were going to meet up, they would stop burning down your city. I promise you they would. They are so easy to push back against. They got nothing. Just take you and 5 of your friends to go up and square up against them. These fat, obese, queer white kids from your local suburb, or not even local, from a different state, and it would stop. It would end. And you can go and get the numbers of those of the people that you went out with. You get their phone numbers. You show up the next week and you do something else. Doesn't even have to be activism. Just keep in contact with those people. Get to know them. And that's when we're going to start to see some change. When we get off of the computer. That's what I want you to do. The 15 people who see this live stream all the way up until now, thank you. Thank you. Subscribe, hit like and subscribe, do all that stuff. But then, tomorrow, after you get off of work, go and meet a couple people, in your neighborhood that you haven't talked to before. Get their phone numbers. It's going to be awkward, and I promise you'll be fine. Go and make plans with them. Have a beer somewhere. Talk about what's important to you, what you want to see get different in your community, and then make it happen. Slowly. That's your homework for today. The 15 people who watch this live stream up until, the 2 people out of the 15 who make it this far. That's your homework for the weekend. And tomorrow, maybe I'll talk about Morocco tomorrow. Who knows? But something's got to change. Yeah. In the meantime, thank y'all for tuning in. And I'll see you later with some more news. Hopefully, something interesting, something to wow y'all. It's still work in progress. Send me a comment. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want to see? I'm a man of the people. I want to be able to, not just talk about things that I personally find interesting or frustrating. I want to hear from you. So thank you. Stay blessed, y'all. I'm out.